Welcome to Alley Chats. Today I have one of my favorites. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm just getting everybody I've ever wanted on a podcast on this show. People that I really want you to become aware of. I've got Darryl Young. Darryl, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rob. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a real honor for you to have me on your show. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone who's been to a Chicago Comic-Con, especially, they're going to know Darryl's work. You should go to his website and look at it. As soon as you see it, you will absolutely recognize what Darryl has going on, and it's just fantastic. Darryl, can you tell people about yourself? Tell them about your background a little bit.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, so I have a real affinity and love for comics, cartoons, and toys of that era, 70s and the 80s. I went to Columbia College a little later in life, probably like in my mid-20s. Went to Columbia College in Chicago. After that, I went right to work at an animation studio in Chicago called Calabash Animation. So I was a traditional animator for about 9 years. We worked on commercials. That was 90% of our business was General Mills, Trix, Lucky Charms, stuff like that. I was very lucky to learn about hand-drawn animation. So that's my passion, hand-drawn, not computer or 3D. I'm a 2D guy. After doing that for about 9 years, I live out in the suburbs, the Chicago suburbs, and I was commuting a minimum of 2 to 3 hours a day. And an opportunity arose. A place was looking for toy designers for McDonald's Happy Meals. And a friend of mine, a childhood friend, his name is Kevin Barber, that I grew up with, we're still best friends to this day, 30, 40 years later, told me about the job. And he was like, hey, Darryl, there's this place called the Marketing Store about 2 miles from your house. I'm like, what? and I had kids coming, and my commute was not a happy commute. I really liked what I did. I loved the people I worked with. But so I applied for that. I was very fortunate to get in, and once again, I was very fortunate to learn how to do toy design. And I did that for about a year and a half, and an opportunity arose while I was working there to do one better, to work from home. So I worked for a place called Index Promotions, and I've been working there for about 11 and a half years, doing the same kind of thing. We do toys for Burger King. We do some cereal toys. We do promotions for sporting events. I worked on MetLife Snoopy plush designs for many years, did many of those. So been doing toy design for about 13 years or so. Always my passion, though, my love, like a lot of us artists who are fortunate to get jobs in our field, we always have a love for something else. And my love is for going back to the whole, comics, cartoons, toys, action figures, Shogun Warriors, all that kind of stuff. And I had a couple friends, twin sisters named Sarah and Catherine Satrin.
They're probably going to be on the show soon because we're friends with them.
I would highly recommend, highly recommend getting them on the show. A great, very talented individuals. I worked with them, and they were starting to do conventions in Chicago area, and they knew I was a geek deep down, and I mean that in a good way. And so they said, hey, why don't you start doing conventions? Why don't you just give it a try? And I tried it 5 years ago. I think C2E2, whatever 5 years ago was, I did a C2E2. And I've been doing it for the past 5 years. So I only do shows in Chicago, C2E2. I've done Wizard World for a couple of years. I do a show in Schererville, Indiana called Northwest Indiana Comic-Con.
Sure.
It's a small show, but it's a great show. Very friendly people put it together, Brian and Kelly. So I've been kind of doing this for 5 years on weekends and during time off, and my style is old school. Since this is something that I like to do, I'm not trying to be like the latest, greatest, whoever the hot artist is. A lot of editors will, whoever that hot artist is, or whatever that trend is, that's what they're looking for, I would imagine, but I don't really care about that. So my stuff looks like something probably like out of a 70s or 80s comic book. And I didn't know how people were going to react to that. Quite frankly, having worked in a studio situation where you're working for, I do toys, like for, Marvel, Disney, these big corporate people, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, all kinds of stuff like that. You're kind of out of touch with what people like. So my recommendation, honestly, for anybody who's thinking about getting into doing conventions or shows or whatever, is do what you like. So I just, this is what I like. This is what I like to draw. I love Jack Kirby. I love Steve Ditko. I love John and Sal Buscema. The Myconauts, Shogun Warriors, all those Thunder the Barbarian. So I started drawing like that. And to my surprise, my pleasant surprise, was I got a great reaction from it. Most people in my age group, probably guys in their 40s or 50s, wow, it just, makes me feel so good. And then we talk for about 10, 15 minutes about the toys we had. And that's a great feeling. But something that I was not expecting that I really love is guys and girls in their 20s, younger people. Oh, I love that retro look. Oh, I love that retro style. Oh, you got the dot pattern. Oh, you look just like Jack Kirby. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that there was an audience out there.
Yeah, there definitely is. And your stuff, it's funny because it is retro, but it looks really fresh. It looks really cool. So
Thank you.
It's what attracted me from the very beginning. And I do like all that retro stuff. I mean, you mentioned Micronauts and that. I love all that stuff. But it doesn't look like a ripoff. It's distinctly yours. And it's really cool. I remember the way that we found you was I was walking around C2E2 with my friend Chris. And I think we ended up ogling your booth for about a half hour. I mean, to get my time for a half hour at C2E2 is pretty tough. And we couldn't leave. And we were just like, oh, look at this. It's amazing. We loved it. So that's why I say anyone who goes to like Wizard World or C2E2 in Chicago, if they walk around Articello, they're going to have walked around by your booth, and they're going to know exactly who it is I'm talking to, because it's really distinct, but it's super cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think any artist who is has influences who is loving something, they're going to bring something else to the table. Unless they're tracing it in Photoshop, which I see a lot of that at conventions.
Yeah,
I know you do
too.
But you got to bring yourself. You got to bring yourself to the work. So I appreciate that. And that's nice too, because that is something I hear from people, is that, and I think maybe that's why the younger people might like it, is that it reminds them of something maybe their dad liked, but it's also something, because I like animation. Maybe that's what I'm bringing to it. I don't know. But I really appreciate that feedback.
Yeah, it's got a fresh, distinct look, and I'm sure that's what they're reacting to. It's cool.
Thank you.
So, okay, if this was your dream convention, who would you be most excited to meet?
Well, we'd have to go in a Wayback Machine, take a time machine, time capsule. Man. Can we do that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
My one regret, I'm a fanboy, but I'm not somebody who has to get autographs, and there's nothing against that, but I admire their work. I love people's work. But one person that I regret never meeting in my life was Jack Kirby. And when I was probably 19 or 20, he had come to Chicago before he passed away. He passed away a few years later. And that's something that really has always bothered me. I wanted to shake his hand and tell him and thank him for everything. I was into Rob. I could honestly tell you, I was into Jack Kirby before Jack Kirby was cool. Okay, I loved Jack Kirby when I was 7 years old. Okay, and it never stopped. I always loved Jack Kirby. This is not something that all these Marvel movies are real popular. Who created this? Jack Kirby? Oh, Jack Kirby's cool. No, I've loved Jack Kirby for over 40 years.
Yeah, you're not a Jack Kirby hipster. You were into it.
No, that's it. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, well, everybody else was into, and I love John Byrne, and I love George Perez, and I love Michael Golden, and all those guys from the 80s. I love them. They're idols of mine. But while everybody was into that, nobody really liked Jack Kirby.
Right.
And here I was going through quarter boxes, getting Commandy and Internal and OMAC and all that stuff. So my dream convention would be to meet Kirby, Gil Kane. Steve Ditko just passed away a few years ago. John Buscema. Several years ago, I got to see John Romita talk at San Diego about 10, 12 years ago, right when my kids were born. My friends and I went out to San Diego, and that was just my buddy Kevin told me. He said, I don't know if you realize it, but you were misting up. You're tearing up, and I didn't have to meet him really. I didn't have to shake his hand, but just to hear him talk.
Yeah, right.
He was so humble. And he was so grateful for the life he had, and for the fans, and for being in this industry, and before it was cool, to be in this industry. So I got to hear him talk, and thank God I got to hear Darwin Cook talk before he passed away.
Yeah.
And Cook was on a Jack Kirby panel with Mark Venier. I can't say his. There's this guy Mark. He was assistant to Kirby years ago, but he does these Kirby panels every year, and we got to hear Darwin talk. And once again, I started tearing up. And my buddy's like, "You're tearing up again." I go, because Darwin.
I'm sensing a theme here,
Daryl. Well, Darwin was talking about a couple. Someone had asked him, "What were your favorite Jack Kirby comics?" And he brought up a Commandy story that I was familiar with, and he started tearing up because it touched him. And that same story touched me, so there was a connection there. So these guys aren't guys who put comics in a bag and we're investing in them. They read them, they meant something to them. Sorry if I'm getting off topic here, but so I got to see Cook, I got to see Romita, any of those old time guys though. Kirby's on the top of the list though, for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get that. So do you, I know you do, you're really prolific. You have tons of art when you go there. Do you ever do commissions for people? Or is that something you're trying to do now during the pandemic?
I don't mind doing commissions. It's just I have such a limited time. And I kind of get in a sticky situation where I hate saying no to somebody. Because if somebody asks you to do a commission, that means they really like your work. And I really, really appreciate that. And when I go to conventions, it's the only time I get to see people who appreciate my work. The stuff that I do for my day job, maybe 5 or 6 people see it, and that's it. It's for corporate. Nobody gets to see my work. So I'm getting better at saying no to people, not because I don't want to, but because I don't have the time to.
Right, and you don't want to halfway do something.
Exactly, I'm all or nothing. If I do a commission for you, I want it to look as good as something that I have that I'm selling at a convention, because that's why you're buying it. So it's funny, Rob, that you mentioned that, because I'm trying to catch up on some commissions from people that I've said yes to a year or 6 months ago too, but I'm actively telling people I'm sorry I can't do them because of my day job. And like you said, if you ever see my booth, I got a ton of stuff.
Tons.
Because
and you've been posting stuff on Facebook that I'm like, oh my God, now he's moving into other things.
Yeah, I can't. You know what? Honestly, here's another. I know we're kind of running out of time here, but that's something I recommend to people to do. Is there's a lot of good artists out there who don't know what should I do? Get yourself a checklist. I started doing buttons. Rob, you've seen my buttons.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you make a checklist, and at some point there's going to be an end point. And then I was doing prints, but I did a checklist. And my goal was, when you do a comic book convention, to me, you want to cover every square inch of that table because you're paying a lot of money for that convention. So for the past 4 or 5 years, that's all I've been doing is covering that table. And as you said, like on Facebook, you're probably seeing some different stuff for me because that's done now. My buttons and my prints are done. I might do some more, but now I'm starting to, I want to do comics, so, I got a nice secret project on the back burner that I'm working on with some really talented people. And that's the next thing. But if you're trying to do 3 or 4 things, and Rob, you know this in life, you can't do 3 or 4 things or 5 things half-ass and get anything done.
Right.
Make yourself a list. Focus on this is what I'm going to get done. And if it takes you 6 months or a year or 2 years, at least you got it done, right?
Yeah.
And then move on to the next one.
It's an accomplishment.
Move on to the next one. It's an accomplishment. So that's my next accomplishment is doing storytelling, doing comics and storytelling, and that's what I'm getting into now.
So where's the best place for people to check out your work?
You could check out I have an Etsy shop where you could check out my work and buy my work. If you go to Etsy, my shop is Darryl Young Design, Darryl Young Design, Darryl Young Design. Or you know what? I'm a low pressure guy. I'm not always trying to make a sale. I'd rather be friendly with somebody and just have them enjoy my work. You don't have to buy my work. On Facebook, you could check me out at, I know this is going to sound funny, diddle.little on Facebook. Diddle, Diddle, .little, Liddle. And then...
And we'll put all of this in the show notes, so you don't have to worry too much.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
It'll all
and then
be
on
there.
Instagram, too. I'm also on Instagram, Darryl Young Design 69. So if you just want to check out my work, see what I'm doing, I'm always posting stuff. But most people probably don't know I do have a full-time job.
Well, you know what? I really encourage people to order from you, though, to keep you going because your stuff is so fantastic, and it looks great on a wall, and it's just really fantastic all the way around. So I'll put this in the show notes. I encourage people to check out your work, and I encourage people to start ordering from you. Darryl, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me. Take care, and keep safe, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
You can find Alley Chats on Facebook by searching for @AlleyChats. You can also visit us at our webpage, smgpods.com/AlleyChats, for links to all our episodes and other cool stuff. One easy way to support our show is to rate and review Alley Chats wherever you listen to your podcasts. Those ratings really help us out and help others find our show as well. Alley Chats is produced and edited by Rob Southgate for Southgate Media Group. Be sure to subscribe to Alley Chats because you definitely don't want to miss an episode. Thanks again to our affiliate sponsors, Hunt-A-Killer and Tweaked Audio. Links to them are on our webpage and in the show notes. This wouldn't be possible without them. Our theme song is by Benny and the No Goods. Check out their awesome music at bennyandthenogoods.bandcamp.com. If you're an artist or writer or creative type that would have a table at an artist alley and would like to be on Alley Chats, message us through the Facebook page or email us directly at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com and we'll set up an interview. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with another fantastic show.